Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending with where you are. My name is Nerumedzo Sagiya. I am a curator of archaeology for the National Museums and Monuments of Zimbabwe and currently based at Great Zimbabwe World Heritage Sites.
My name is Dorothy Madamba. I am a curator of entomology with the National Museums and Monuments of Zimbabwe, based at the Natural History Museum in Bulawayo. And it's a pleasure to present this to you.
So myself and Dorothy, we've carried out a study on the edible stink bugs that are found in South-Eastern Zimbabwe from the perspective of the Sustainable Development Goals, where we are trying to understand the contribution of insects towards alleviating poverty and hunger. So we are going to take you through some of our research findings pertaining to this kind of rare aspect of trying to understand the contribution of insects as a source of livelihoods to rural communities. The next slide, sorry. So I think the consumption of insects is a worldwide phenomenon, and each and every continent has got edible insects that constitute part of the diet of different societies and communities. And in Southern Africa, recently, there's been an upsurge of researches trying to understand different aspects of edible insects. But in our case, in this particular presentation, we focus on the edible stink bugs, trying to understand how the rural communities have managed to harness these insects towards alleviating hunger and poverty. So for those who are not familiar with the edible stink bugs, Dorothy is going to take us through the scientific and entomological details of the edible stink bugs. I will then provide a background to the area of study, as well as how these edible stink bugs are contributing towards the livelihoods of the rural communities in Southeastern Zimbabwe. Then I will also take you through our recommendations, suggestions pertaining to how the communities can enhance these naturally given resources in terms of coming up with sustainable sources of livelihoods. Then I will also take you through our conclusions. So at this juncture, let me hand over to Dorothy.
Thank you, Nerumedzo. So just a few details on my background. I've been doing a background survey of what resources we have in terms of edible insects, because it's a good natural resource that the country should be harnessing as a sustainable food source. So far, I'm still counting, but I can safely say we have over 40 different species that historically have been used as edible insects. And the edible stink bug is just one of those 40. And so to just get into the taxonomy, it is a true bug in the order Heritageandsustainabledevelepmentgoals, and it's a Tesseratomide. And they are, according to that color, the original color is actually green, but that's a museum specimen that we've had for a while, and it went through the preparatory process that they do when they are preparing them for food. So it lost its color. The original color is green. They are an average of 20 centimeters in length. That's from the head to the abdomen. And the scientific name is Encostenum delegorguei. That's the same one that used to be Haplostenna, and it was named by Spinola. And it is called harurwa in Shona, and in Ndebele, it's the same one that we call umtshipela. So from a study, a preliminary study that we did, we realized that the museum here in Bulawayo has several specimens collected from all over the country. And so this map was to just show the distribution that we have according to the areas where we have collected them before. So this resource is actually widespread in where we find it. But you find that the swarming behavior that we take advantage of when we harvest is only found in one particular area. So it's a curious thing to try and find out why that swarming behavior keeps happening in that particular area, which we'll be talking about, the Nerumedzo area. So as a seasonal resource, I've just highlighted, you can refer to the paper that we are putting together that will be published for the details of the months and everywhere where we've collected these from. Not all Zimbabwean cultures embrace this eating of stink bugs. I think from the name already, somebody named it because of a smell that they do not like, the stinking smell. And so not everybody eats stink bugs, but when I did a survey in the Matopos area, most of the responses I got is that they find stink bugs unpalatable. Yet it's such a good economic resource in the Nerumedzo area. So edible insects, when I talked of the 40+ species in Zimbabwe that are eaten, when we say edible insects, we just refer to insects that people use for food and for feed. And that's the definition that we're going with. Also borrowing from the world list of edible insects that was compiled by John Gema using different texts that were published in the past. So there is evidence of the use of edible insects in Zimbabwe as a common practice dating back to its recording in the 1960s by Cook. There are lots of rock art paintings that show that this resource was, from interpretation, that this resource might have been very abundant and in use well before our time. So it's not a new thing to be using edible insects in Zimbabwe, unlike in other areas in the world where this practice is new. Entomophagy is part of our culture, and hence this presentation tries to explore edible stink bugs and how culturally we've always practiced entomophagy of these insects. So I'm gonna give this presentation over to my colleague to take us through the particular study area, which is Nerumedzo, and tell us more about this practice of edible insects.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dorothy, for that detailed description and context of the edible stink bugs in Zimbabwe. Now about Nerumedzo communal area, which is our focus of study. This place is located in Bikita district, which is in Masvingo province, and the particular community that is of concern to our study is the Nerumedzo communal area, which is in Ward 15, falling under the jurisdiction of Chief Mazungunye of the Duma totem, and the issues of totem will come back to this issue, because The forest, which Dorothy referred to as the one that has got a unique swarm behavior, is also associated with the traditional beliefs, practices, and other associated intangible cultural heritage aspects. So that's why I had to mention the totem of Chief Mazungunye and the people falling under his jurisdiction. So this sacred forest is located within a valley flanked by 2 mountains. And in terms of extent, it covers about 7 square kilometers. And this forest has been preserved and conserved through various traditional practices, norms, and values, such that today Nerumedzo Sacred Forest is a unique forest in the sense that there is no felling of trees, no cases of wildfires, and as such, it has continued to be a thriving habitat of the edible or stink bugs. The next slide. So as you can see on that slide, those images are showing parts of the Nerumedzo Sacred Forest, which has become a very popular place with regards to the existence and the consumption of edible stink bugs. So as I was mentioning that the custodianship and management of this sacred forest is culturally done. So as you can see on the slide, that shade, bent shade, is part of the traditional systems of looking after the sacred forest, whereby during the season of the harurwa or the edible stink bugs, the local communities put up a camping shelter where about 40 to 50 men from the surrounding villages will come and camp within the forest from around March to August or September of each and every year. And these selected men from the local villages are responsible for ensuring that those who are coming to harvest harurwa will be doing that within the norms and values of the sacred forest. So they are there to ensure that the spirituality and the cultural aspects of the site are preserved as people from different walks of life harvest and interact with this sacred forest. And because of these unique features of Nerumedzo, it was gazetted as a national monument in 2017, which then bestow legal protection to these sacred forests, such that the forest is now protected from illegal settlement encroachment and other activities that may threaten the values of this sacred forest. And this sacred forest has become popular and unique mainly because of the associated cultural beliefs and practices that are annually carried out within the forest as well as around the surrounding communities. The next slide. So as you can see, the harvesting of harurwa is a preserve for all age groups, where you find young girls, boys, women, and men converging into this sacred forest, usually early in the morning to harvest harurwa. And as I have already alluded, the harvesting process is traditionally done whereby the local communities make use of hooks and other environmentally friendly techniques of harvesting harurwa. And the Nerumedzo harurwa have become a sustainable source of livelihoods among the local communities and even beyond. In fact, within the Nerumedzo communal area, the edible stink bugs are locally referred to as zvipembere zvegoridhe, which is a metaphor derived from the monetary value of the edible stink bugs. So you find that within Masvingo province, there are a number of market centers where harurwa is being sold to different clientele. And the value of harurwa is not only in terms of monetary value, but harurwa is also, they've also been used for barter trading, where the local communities are able to trade harurwa with the groceries, with school uniforms, and other basic items for their own use. And this is a process or an activity that has been happening over the years and leading to the improvement of the standard of living of the communities around Nerumedzo Sacred Forest. And also harurwa is a delicacy among the local communities in Nerumedzo, where you'd find that it is used or eaten as snack and at times as a relish. And there is also a saying that you cannot say you've been to Bikita if you haven't eaten harurwa. So it has become part of an addictive diet among the local communities in Nerumedzo. But in our study, we have questioned whether the availability of edible stink bugs will always be there forever. So we are coming up with suggestions in terms of how the local communities working together with other key stakeholders can actually enhance benefits from the harvesting of harurwa, as well as this unique sacred forest. And one of our suggestions is that from the studies that have been undertaken on edible stink bugs, it has been realized that the wastewater that comes from the processing of harurwa can actually be used as pesticides for vegetable gardens. And also there are some researchers detailed in our paper mentioned by Dorothy, who have also identified some medicinal properties of harurwa. So we are of the suggestion or of the idea that there can be an establishment of on-site industrial plants that will advance these different components or aspects of harurwa in terms of refinement and also processing, maybe of pesticides or maybe of medicines coming out of harurwa, to enable value addition and beneficiation amongst the local communities as well as the nation at large. And also we are of the idea that the Nerumedzo Sacred Forest, taking into consideration its unique, intangible, as well as tangible heritage aspects, it can also be transformed into an ecotourism center where local as well as international tourists can actually come and enjoy nature and other cultural practices within the Nerumedzo communal area, which will also unlock a number of downstream industries that will also improve the living standards of the local communities in Nerumedzo. So in conclusion, we argue that most rural communities in Zimbabwe have been relying on agriculture, but taking into consideration the climate change as well as the continuous rising of prices of inputs, as well as other agricultural equipment, farming seems not to be a reliable source of livelihood among rural communities. So, given the case study of Nerumedzo, where there is abundance of harurwa, we have realized that indeed communities can actually sustain their livelihood. They can actually fight poverty and hunger through the sustainable harvesting and use of edible insects such as harurwa. On that note, I will hand over to Dorothy just to give us a concluding remarks with regards to our presentation and the research that we are working on with regards to edible stink bugs in Zimbabwe.
Thank you. This is a classical example of dynamite coming in small packages, because you have one small 20 millimeter insect impacting both culture and nature in a certain environment, and contributing to, I think, more than 3 sustainable development goals. The first one being the one of food security, zero hunger by 2030, through providing a sustainable food source for a community. The other one being sustainable tourism, SDG 8, where we see the potential in this forest that has both culture and nature combined, attracting tourism from all over the globe, and creating income for the local communities and the young people that are there. And also sustainable development goal number 15, you know, we've gone through how whatever byproducts from harurwa, the parts that are not eaten, can provide you know, fertilizers and all that. That's also part of terrestrial ecosystem management. So I see a great potential in this project, and while we're only scratching the surface in this presentation, there is something big with this intangible heritage that Zimbabwe has to own and bring forward to the rest of the world. As Kofi Annan says, you know, sustainable development goals are actually not a problem or a threat. They are an opportunity, an economic opportunity for everyone, and this is one classic example. Thank you for indulging us, and please do enjoy the rest of the presentations.